The text message came at 3:47 a.m. Check your account. You'll thank me. I almost ignored it, assuming James was drunk texting again. My cousin had a habit of sending cryptic messages after his champagne-soaked business dinners, but something about the timing made my stomach clench. I grabbed my phone, opened my banking app, and felt the world tilt sideways. 0. Actually, less than 0. My business account was overdrawn by £142.63. My name is Isabella, and until that moment, I was living what most would call the entrepreneurial dream. 10 years of grinding had turned my one-woman marketing operation into a boutique agency with 15 employees and a corner office overlooking downtown. Now, I was staring at an empty vault where my company's operating expenses should have been. "This has to be a mistake," I whispered, fingers trembling as I dialed James's number. He picked up on the first ring. "Isabella, you're up early." His voice was crisp, alert, not drunk at all. "What did you do?" The words came out as a hiss. "Check your email. I've moved everything into a fantastic opportunity. 30% returns minimum. You're going to—" "You what?" I cut him off, my voice rising. "James, that was my company's money, my employees' paychecks." "Relax." He switched to video call. I accepted, and there he was, perfectly groomed in a navy suit, sitting in what looked like a high-rise office. I've been managing family money for years. Have I ever steered anyone wrong? The smirk on his face made my blood run cold. This was the same expression he wore when we were kids, right before he'd blame me for whatever scheme he'd cooked up. But we weren't kids anymore, and this wasn't about stolen cookies or broken vases. "Return it, now," I tried to keep my voice steady, "or I'm calling the police." He laughed, actually laughed. "With what proof? Check the paperwork, cousin. You authorized everything." "I never." "You did. Remember that partnership agreement you signed last month? The one for the charity initiative?" His smile widened. "You should really read the fine print." The charity initiative, of course. He'd pitched it as a tax write-off, a way to help local businesses while building goodwill. I'd trusted him because he was James, the golden child, the financial wizard who managed our family's wealth. "You're lying," I said, but I was already pulling up my cloud storage, searching for the documents. "Am I? You'll thank me eventually, Isabella. This is what family does. We look out for each other." The call ended. I sat there numb as my assistant Melina's incoming call lit up my screen. Of course, payroll was supposed to process today. "Don't panic," I told her, trying to sound calmer than I felt. "System glitch. I'll handle it." After hanging up, I found the partnership agreement. James was right. Buried in the legal jargon were clauses I'd never noticed, giving him full access to my accounts for investment purposes. But he'd made a mistake. In the shared folder containing the agreement, there was another document. Something encrypted, something that shouldn't have been there. When I opened it, my screen filled with transaction records, international wire transfers, shell company names, and repeated references to a non-profit I'd never heard of. A non-profit that bore my name. My phone buzzed again. Another text from James. "By the way, delete anything you find in that shared folder. Wouldn't want the wrong people getting the wrong idea about your involvement." I stared at the message, my hands steady now, rage replacing fear. He hadn't just stolen from me. He'd set me up to take the fall if things went south. The sun was rising over the city skyline, painting my office in shades of gold. I took a screenshot of the encrypted document, then another of his text. Finally, I typed a response. "You're right, James. I will thank you. Eventually." Then I picked up my phone and dialed a number I never thought I'd need, Kimberly, James's ex. If anyone knew where the bodies were buried, it would be her. Kimberly agreed to meet at a small coffee shop across town, the kind of place James would never set foot in. She looked different from the polished socialite I remembered from family gatherings, sharper, harder. "I've been waiting for this call," she said, sliding into the booth. "Though I thought it would come sooner." "What do you mean?" She pulled out her laptop. 3 years ago, James did the same thing to me. Different method, same result. I lost everything except what I'd hidden in a separate account. My coffee went cold as she walked me through spreadsheets, bank statements, and emails. James hadn't just stolen my money. He'd used my identity to create an elaborate network of fake charities and shell companies. Look at this. Kimberly pointed to a transaction record. Your signature, authorizing a transfer to a non-profit in Dubai. When were you last in Dubai? Never. Exactly. She leaned forward. He's been forging your signature for months. Probably has someone on his payroll who's good with Photoshop. Melina called again. I let it go to voicemail, knowing she was probably fielding panic from our clients. How did you figure all this out? I asked Kimberly. I was a financial analyst before I met James. Numbers don't lie. People do. She closed her laptop. But here's what you need to understand. James never works alone. Someone's always covering for him. The memory hit me like a slap. Last Thanksgiving, when Uncle Robert questioned James about a suspicious investment. He's just jealous, I told everyone at the dinner table. James has always been brilliant with money. Kimberly's eyes narrowed. You defended him a lot, didn't you? I thought I was protecting family. No, she said quietly. You were enabling him. We all were. My phone buzzed. A text from Melina. Major problem. IRS letter just arrived. They're asking about charitable donations we never made. Shit. I showed Kimberly the message. Perfect timing, she said, pulling out a business card. This is Raphael. He used to be James's partner before things went south. Call him. He's been gathering evidence for years. Why are you helping me? Kimberly's face hardened. Because James didn't just take my money. He destroyed my reputation, my career, my relationships. He convinced everyone I was crazy when I tried to expose him. She stood up. But mostly I'm helping because you're not the only one he's using as a fall guy. There are others. Back at the office, Melina was waiting with the IRS letter. Isabella, what's going on? These donations they're asking about, they're in the millions. I closed my office door. I need you to do something. Don't ask questions, I need you to trace every document James has had access to, every signature, every contract, everything. James, but he's your... Not anymore. She nodded slowly. There's something else. A woman called while you were out, said she had information about James's other identity. Other identity? She wouldn't elaborate, just left this. Melina handed me a post-it with a number. I recognised the area code. It was from my mother's hometown, the same town where James had started his first investment firm. My phone buzzed again. James. Having a nice chat with Kimberly? His voice was ice. You should be careful who you trust, cousin. Some people are just bitter about their own failures. Like you'd know anything about trust. I'm protecting you. That money? It's safer now than it's ever been. But if you keep digging... He paused. Well, let's just say those charitable donations might look very intentional to the right authorities. I ended the call and dialed the number from the post-it. A familiar voice answered, one I hadn't heard in years. Isabella, said Raphael, James's former partner. I was wondering when you'd call, ready to learn where all the bodies are buried. I looked at the IRS letter, then at Melina's worried face, and finally at the encrypted document still open on my screen. Tell me everything. Before meeting Raphael, I needed answers from closer to home. I drove to my father's house, the same sprawling Victorian where I'd spent countless summers watching James charm our entire family. Dad opened the door before I could knock. I've been expecting you. The living room was dark except for his reading lamp. He didn't turn on any other lights. Did you know? I asked, remaining standing. About James? Sit down, Isabella. His voice was tired, heavy. No, answer me. Did you know? He rubbed his face. The first time was 7 years ago. James made some bad investments, used company money to cover personal losses. And I helped him fix it. Dad wouldn't meet my eyes. To protect the family name. The room seemed to tilt. You helped him after he stole money? It wasn't stealing, it was creative accounting. Nobody got hurt. I pulled out my phone, showed him the IRS letter. Nobody got hurt? He's using my name, Dad, my company, everything I've built. Keep your voice down, he hissed. Your Aunt Vanessa is upstairs. Perfect. Let's ask her about her precious son's creative accounting. Dad grabbed my arm. You don't understand. The family's reputation. The family's reputation? I yanked free. What about my reputation? My employees? Their families? My phone buzzed. Raphael. Meeting now. Urgent. Sending location. I have to go, I told Dad. Isabella, wait. There's more you need to know. But I was already walking out, his words following me like ghosts. Raphael had chosen an underground parking garage. He stood beside a luxury car, looking nothing like the polished executive from James's old company photos. Now he was all nervous energy and darting eyes. We don't have much time, he said, opening his laptop on the car's hood. James is moving money again, big amounts. To where? Dubai, real estate projects that don't exist. He showed me contracts, all bearing my forged signature. He's been using your identity as a front for years, building a paper trail. Why me? Because you were perfect, successful entrepreneur, spotless record, family loyalty. If anything went wrong, you'd take the fall while he walked away clean. Raphael's fingers flew over the keyboard, but he made mistakes, got sloppy. What mistakes? Like this. He pulled up security footage. James at some private dinner, drunk on success and expensive wine. If anything goes south, James was saying to someone off camera, I've got my cousin's face on the chop block. Perfect setup. She trusts me so much. She doesn't even read what she signs. My hands clenched into fists. When was this? 2 months ago, right after he got you to sign those charity papers. Raphael closed the laptop. But here's what you really need to see. A car engine roared to life nearby. Raphael shoved a USB drive into my hand. Everything's here. Bank records, fake companies, all of it. But be careful. James has friends in high places. Why are you helping me? Because he destroyed my life too, made me the scapegoat when his last scheme fell apart. Raphael got into his car. Check the drive. And Isabella? Watch out for Vanessa. She's not just James's mother, she's his partner. I drove home in a daze, Raphael's USB drive burning a hole in my pocket. But when I walked into my apartment, I knew something was wrong. Someone had been here. My laptop was exactly 2 inches to the left of where I'd left it. The window was cracked open, letting in the night air. And there, on my kitchen counter, was a handwritten note in Vanessa's elegant script. Dear Isabella, let's talk about your mother's safety deposit box, shall we? The one with all those interesting documents inside? Call me, soon. My phone buzzed one final time, a text from an unknown number. IRS Criminal Investigation Unit, we need to speak with you regarding suspicious financial activities under your name. Please contact us immediately. The walls were closing in, but for the first time since this started, I felt something beyond fear and rage. I felt ready. Kimberly and I set up our makeshift command centre in my office after hours. Melina had rigged up 3 monitors to track James's digital footprint, while Raphael's USB drive spilled its secrets across our screens. Look at this, Kimberly pointed to a transaction record. He's been moving millions through a series of shell companies, all registered under the name Robert Maxwell. That was my mother's maiden name, I said, feeling sick. It gets worse. Melina pulled up another document. Every company links back to a holding corporation in the Cayman Islands. Guess who's listed as CEO? I leaned in. There it was, my signature, dated 3 months ago, a document I'd never seen. He's not just stealing, Kimberly said quietly. He's building a paper trail to frame you if things go wrong. My phone rang. Vanessa. Darling, her voice dripped honey, we need to talk about your situation. You mean how your son stole my money and forged my signature? Don't be dramatic. I can make this all go away. $2 million cash. You walk away, forget everything you've found. I put the phone on speaker. Kimberly's eyes widened. And if I don't? Then perhaps the authorities might find some interesting transactions in your name. Wire fraud is a federal crime, dear. Is that what happened to my mother's safety deposit box? More evidence to bury? Silence. Then, meet me at the house, 1 hour. Come alone. I ended the call. Melina was already pulling up security footage from James's office building. Got it, she said. Last week's investor dinner. You need to see this. The footage showed James in his element, surrounded by wealthy potential marks. He was drunk, loose-lipped. My cousin? He laughed, swirling his wine. She's my insurance policy. Every document, every transaction, it all leads back to her. If anyone starts asking questions... He drew his finger across his throat. Send that to my phone, I said. And keep digging into Robert Maxwell. There has to be more. Kimberly's laptop pinged. Isabella, I found something. James has another identity. He's been operating under your mother's maiden name for years. There's a whole network of companies, all connected to... Her voice trailed off as she stared at her screen. Connected to what? To your father's investment firm from 20 years ago. She turned the laptop around. Your dad wasn't just covering for James, he was teaching him. The pieces clicked together. Dad's nervous behaviour, the family's obsession with reputation, James's perfect understanding of financial fraud. It was never about protecting the family name, I whispered. It was about protecting their scheme. My phone buzzed. A text from Raphael. Don't meet Vanessa. It's a trap. James is moving the last of the money tonight. Sending details. Another buzz. James this time. Final warning, cousin. Back off, or tomorrow's headlines will be very interesting. Kimberly grabbed my arm. Look at this. All the money's being funneled through one final account. If we can trace it... We can prove everything, Melina finished. No, I said, an idea forming. We can make him prove it himself. I pulled up my phone and dialed Vanessa's number. Change of plans, I said. I'm not coming to you, but I have something you need to see. Something about Robert Maxwell. Her sharp intake of breath told me everything. Where? She demanded. The coffee shop on 5th, 1 hour. Bring James. I hung up and turned to Kimberly and Melina. We have 1 hour to set the perfect trap, one that forces him to move that money exactly where we want it. And where's that? Kimberly asked. I smiled, thinking of James's smirk the morning he stole everything. Right into the FBI's waiting arms. Melina's computer pinged one final time. An email from an anonymous account. Inside was a video file, security footage from my mother's bank, dated the day before she died. It showed James and Vanessa accessing her safety deposit box. Got you, I whispered. The sun was setting over the city as we finalised our plan. In 1 hour, I'd face my family's legacy of lies, but this time I wasn't the naive cousin they could manipulate. This time, I was ready to burn it all down. The coffee shop was empty except for a barista wiping down tables. Vanessa arrived first, wrapped in an expensive cashmere coat that couldn't hide her tension. James followed 5 minutes later, his usual smirk replaced by something harder. Make this quick, he said, sliding into the booth. I placed my phone on the table, recording app running. Tell me about Robert Maxwell. Your mother's maiden name? What about it? Vanessa's perfectly manicured nails tapped the table. Funny thing about names, I said, opening my laptop. They leave paper trails, like this one. I turned the screen toward them. Security footage from the bank, showing them at my mother's safety deposit box. James's face went pale. Where did you get that? Same place I got these. I pulled up the offshore accounts, the shell companies, all registered under Robert Maxwell. You didn't just steal from me, did you? You've been stealing my identity for years. Stealing is such an ugly word, Vanessa cut in. We were protecting family interests. By framing me. By creating a safety net, James said. Everything I did was perfectly legal. I played the video from his investor dinner. His drunken boasting filled the quiet shop. Vanessa's face turned to stone. "You fool!" she hissed at James. "You stupid, careless fool!" "It doesn't matter," he said, but sweat beaded on his forehead. "None of this proves anything." "No?" I pulled out a final document. "This is from Mum's safety deposit box. The real one, not the one you emptied. She kept records, Vanessa, of everything." Vanessa's mask cracked. "Your mother was weak. She would have exposed everything, destroyed what we built." "What you built? You mean what you stole?" "We created wealth." Vanessa's voice rose. "Your father understood. Why do you think he helped us? The family name means something." Not anymore. James's phone buzzed. He checked it, and I saw real fear flash across his face. "The Dubai transfer," he muttered. "It's not going through." "Because the account's frozen," I said. "Along with every other Robert Maxwell account. The FBI is very interested in money laundering through fake charities." James stood up so fast his chair toppled. "You're bluffing." "Am I? Check your main account, the one you've been funneling everything through." He pulled out his phone, fingers shaking as he logged in. His face went from pale to ashen. "It's gone," he whispered. "Everything's gone." "Not gone," I corrected. "Just moved. To accounts you can't access without confessing everything." Vanessa grabbed my arm. "Listen to me, you ungrateful child. One phone call and I can make your life hell." Too late. I nodded toward the window. 2 FBI agents were walking toward the coffee shop entrance. James bolted for the back door, but I knew Kimberly would be waiting there with more agents. "You don't understand," Vanessa's grip tightened. "This isn't just about money. There are people involved, powerful people. They'll come after you." "Let them." I pulled free, "but first they'll come after you." The agents entered. James came back in, hands up, Kimberly behind him looking grimly satisfied. "Isabella Arnold," one agent approached. "We need to ask you some questions about Robert Maxwell." "Of course," I said. "I have quite a story to tell you." As they led James and Vanessa away, my phone buzzed. A text from my father. "I saw the FBI. Is it done?" I watched my aunt and cousin being placed in separate cars. "Almost," I typed back. "Your turn next." Another buzz. "Raphael. Money trail confirmed. They can't hide anymore." The barista brought me a fresh coffee as the cars pulled away. Through the window I could see the sun rising over the city. My city. The one I'd built my business in. The one James had tried to take from me. My phone buzzed one final time. A news alert. Major financial fraud investigation launched. Prominent family implicated. I took a sip of coffee, remembering James's words. "You'll thank me eventually." He was right. Without his betrayal, I might never have uncovered the truth about my family, about myself. But this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of making things right. "They won't hold me for long," James said, from across the interrogation room table. "You know that, right?" I'd pulled strings through Raphael to get this meeting. James looked smaller in his orange jumpsuit, but his eyes still held that calculating gleam. "Actually," I said, pulling out some papers, "they will. Unless—" "Unless what?" He leaned forward. "Unless you help us track down every penny, every account, every person involved." He laughed, but it was hollow. "And why would I do that?" I slid the first document across the table. "Because I found your escape plan. The account in Belize under your girlfriend's name, the one with $8 million. His smile faltered. "Here's the deal," I continued. "You can sit here claiming innocence while that money slowly disappears. Or you can help us recover everything, and I'll make sure that account stays untouched. Your choice." James studied me. "You're bluffing. You don't have access." I pulled out my phone, showed him the banking app. His eyes widened at the familiar account number. "How did you—" "Your girlfriend Lisa, she's been working with us for weeks. Turns out she doesn't like being used as a pawn." The door opened. Kimberly walked in, followed by Raphael. "Hello, James," Kimberly said softly. "Remember when you told me I was crazy, that I was imagining things?" James's face went dark. "You're all working together." We're not the only ones, Raphael added. Your sister Faith called this morning. She's ready to talk about those real estate deals in Dubai. Faith wouldn't. She already did. I slid another document across the table. Signed her statement an hour ago. James's hands started shaking. What do you want? Everything, Kimberly said. Every name, every account, every dirty little secret. And if I refuse? I stood up. Then tomorrow morning, that Belize account empties into an FBI seizure fund. Your choice. Wait. James grabbed my arm. You don't understand. There are people involved, dangerous people. If you talk, Raphael cut in, you get a deal. If you don't, you get 20 years and $0. My phone buzzed. Melina. It's done. The transfer is ready. Just need your go-ahead. I showed James the message. Time's running out. What's it going to be? He stared at the phone, then at the documents, then at each of us. The mask finally cracked. Get me a lawyer, he whispered, and paper, lots of paper. 4 hours later, I sat in my office reviewing James's confession. Names, dates, account numbers, everything we needed to unravel the entire scheme. It worked, Kimberly said, pouring 2 glasses of whiskey. He actually broke. Not yet. I pulled up my laptop. There's one more thing. I typed out a message to James. You were right. I should thank you for teaching me that family isn't about blood. It's about trust. His reply came quickly. You think you've won? Wait until tomorrow's papers. I smiled, sending one final email to every major news outlet in the country. Subject line: Financial fraud whistleblower comes clean, the full story. Attached was James's complete confession, along with all supporting documents. Now it's done, I said, raising my glass to Kimberly. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Faith. Just saw the news, thank you, for everything. I looked out at the city lights, thinking about tomorrow's headlines, about justice and revenge and the thin line between them. What now? Kimberly asked. Now? I pulled up the Belize account one last time. Now we make sure every penny goes back to the people they stole from, starting with this. I hit transfer, watching $8 million move into a victim restitution fund. He was right about one thing, I said, closing my laptop. Family does look out for each other, just not the way he thought. The night was just beginning, and somewhere in a jail cell, James was finally learning the true cost of betrayal. The courthouse buzzed with tension as James took the stand. I sat between Kimberly and Raphael, watching my cousin's carefully constructed world crumble under oath. And these transfers, the prosecutor held up a document. Were they authorized by Isabella? No, James said, his voice hollow. I forged her signature. And the charitable organizations? Shell companies, all of them. In the gallery, Vanessa's face turned to stone. My father wasn't present. He'd taken a plea deal the day before, agreeing to testify against his own sister. Tell us about Robert Maxwell, the prosecutor continued. James's eyes met mine. It was my aunt's idea. Use Isabella's mother's maiden name. Create a paper trail that would lead back to Isabella if anything went wrong. And the safety deposit box? I cleaned it out the day before my aunt died. There were documents inside, evidence of previous frauds. The courtroom erupted in whispers. The judge called for order. During the recess, Melina rushed up with her tablet. You need to see this. The financial news is exploding. Headlines scrolled across the screen. Family financial empire revealed as massive fraud scheme. Whistleblower exposes decades of financial crimes. Isabella, Faith, James's sister, approached cautiously. Can we talk? We stepped into an empty conference room. I'm sorry, she said immediately. I knew something was wrong, but I never... You did the right thing in the end, I told her. Your testimony helped break this open. James wants to see you before they take him back to jail. Why should I? Because he's crying, for real this time. I found James in a holding cell, his designer suit replaced by orange jumpsuit, his polished appearance shattered. Come to gloat? he asked. No, I came to return something. I held up a key. To Mum's safety deposit box, the real one. His head snapped up. What? She kept 2 boxes. The one you emptied was a decoy. She knew, James. She knew what you and Vanessa were planning. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to understand. Every step you took to destroy me, she saw it coming, protected me from beyond the grave. Tears rolled down his face. Isabella, please, help me, like you used to. I am helping you, I said, standing, by letting you face the consequences. Finally. Back in the courtroom, the verdict was swift, guilty on all counts. As they led James away, Vanessa stood up. You've destroyed this family, she spat at me. No, I replied calmly. You did that years ago. I just exposed it. My phone buzzed. Raphael. Final accounts traced. Total fraud amount $157 million. Another buzz. Kimberly. Restitution payments starting tomorrow. Every victim gets their money back. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters. I pushed through them to where Melina waited with the car. Your office called, she said as we pulled away. The clients are coming back, all of them, plus 20 new inquiries since the story broke. They want the whistleblower who took down her own family. They want someone they can trust. At my office, I found Dad waiting. He looked older, defeated. The plea deal is done, he said. 5 years, reduced to 3 with good behaviour. Good. Isabella, I know I can't fix this, but you're right, you can't. I opened my office door. But you can start by telling the truth, all of it, starting with what really happened to Mum's original files. He sank into a chair, finally ready to talk. Outside my window, the city glittered in the dusk. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from an unknown number. Ms. Arnold, this is the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. We have some cases we'd like you to consult on. Your expertise in uncovering family fraud schemes would be invaluable. I looked at the message, then at my father waiting to confess, then at the news headlines still rolling across my screen. Send me the files, I typed back. The sun set on the empire James had built on lies, but from its ashes something new was rising, something built on truth, no matter how painful that truth might be. The morning sun hit the polished granite of Mum's headstone. I placed fresh flowers beside it, then pulled out the safety deposit box key. I did it, Mum. Everything you tried to protect me from, I faced it. I survived it. She'd be proud, Kimberly said, stepping up beside me. The last restitution payments went through this morning. Every victim has their money back. My phone buzzed. A news alert. James accepts extended plea deal, agrees to testify in international financial fraud cases. Have you seen this? I showed Kimberly. She nodded. Raphael called. James is naming names, big ones, people even Vanessa was afraid of. Speaking of Vanessa, I pulled up another message. Faith sent this. Their mother's not doing well in prison. Apparently, the country club lifestyle didn't prepare her for concrete walls. We walked back to the car, where Melina waited with coffee and files. Your 3 o'clock cancelled, she said, handing me a cup. But the FBI called again. They want you to consult on another family fraud case. Tell them yes. I took a sip. But first, there's something I need to do. The prison visiting room was cold. Dad sat across from me, looking smaller in his jumpsuit. The investigators found Mum's original files, I said. The ones you helped hide. He closed his eyes. Isabella. No more lies. You owe me that much. She was going to expose everything, he said finally. Not just James and Vanessa, all of it, the whole family's financial history. And you stopped her. I thought I was protecting you, our name, our legacy. He laughed bitterly. Some legacy. You know what her real legacy was? I pulled out an old photo. This. The picture showed Mum and me in front of my first office. Just a tiny rental space, but her smile was radiant with pride. She taught me that real legacy isn't about money or names, it's about truth. Dad touched the photo gently. I forgot who she was, who we were supposed to be. My phone buzzed. A text from Raphael. Turn on the news, now. Melina rushed in with her tablet. Breaking news showed FBI agents raiding offices across the city. James's testimony had triggered an international investigation. It's really over, Dad whispered. No, I stood up. It's just beginning. Back at my office, Kimberly and Raphael waited with Faith. The investigators need your signature, Faith said, holding out a document. They're converting James's offshore accounts into a victim compensation fund. With you as trustee, Raphael added. They trust you to do the right thing. I signed the paper, thinking of James's smirk that morning he stole everything, of Vanessa's threats, of Dad's silence. What happens now? Faith asked. Now? I looked at the team around me, Kimberly with her financial expertise, Raphael with his insider knowledge, Melina with her unwavering loyalty, and Faith with her courage to break free. Now we make sure this never happens to another family. My phone lit up with a final message. From James. You won, but was it worth it, destroying everything we were? I thought about Mum's safety deposit box, about truth and lies and the cost of both. We were never what you thought we were, I typed back. That was the lie. The truth? That's what we're building now. I deleted his number and turned to my team. Ready to get to work? They nodded, and I felt something I hadn't felt since this all began. Peace. Not because I'd won, not because justice was served, but because finally, after all the lies and betrayal, I was exactly who my mother had raised me to be. The sun set over the city as we began reviewing new cases. My phone stayed silent. No more messages from James, no more threats from Vanessa, no more guilt from Dad. Just the quiet certainty that sometimes the greatest revenge isn't destroying your enemies. It's rebuilding everything they tried to take from you. Better, stronger, true.